I'm going to bring out a mystery. It's amazing that people under the same government as others, people who attend the same fellowship with others, but who struggle through life. Others will rise up, take that fan back, it's too close. Others will rise up and do amazingly well, and others will not. I'm going to please ask you, request that you, if you feel sleepy, you can stand up. If you have left the comfort of your house to this place, you must go home with something. We are dealing with life and death. It's an urgent and important business. I'm going to demand. I said, take that thing back. The fan is too close. It's blowing too much on me. Can we all turn to the book of Genesis? Let's take chapter 8 and verse 20. I'm going to speak about altars. An altar is a place where sacrifices are made to deities, to little demons, sometimes to God. Many of us come from families, from communities where they have little gods that they worship. Where I come from, for an altar to be raised, they will have to bury 7 young men and 7 young girls alive and put stones together where they were buried. And promises are made and vows are made. And when you offer sacrifice to any altar, you are giving that altar voice and power to rule, and to rule many generations. It's also a place of worship where humanity enters into covenant with divinity. Those who worship there, they enter into a covenant with the gods they call upon. No altar has power until sacrifice is made to that altar. It is what the native doctor says when he's concocting whatever he's concocting, or when receiving your sacrifice, that determines the power on that altar. It also determines the type of demons that will respond or attend to that sacrifice. Sacrifice is an offering of an animal or something of great value to an altar, to deities. Remember, I said an altar has no power until sacrifice is made to that altar. Once a sacrifice is made, the altar will begin to speak and rule and determine the destinies and can repackage destinies. Number 7, whatever is brought to an altar must die. Whatever is brought to an altar, that is when Jesus, when John the Baptist called Jesus the what? The lamp of what? God. It means he must die on that altar of God. Let's now begin. Let's go to the book of Genesis chapter 4. Let's take 4, verse 3 and verse. Please, you must listen very well. I'm going to tell you the meaning of the sacrifice that God made of his son and the blessings of that sacrifice. That you may no longer remain in bondage. That you may no longer roam about. You know, sometimes our children, in the attempt to find answers to questions bugging them, go into armed robbery, go into kidnapping, go into... In fact, in many nations of the world, children from Nigeria are slaves in different prison houses because of the covenant entered into by the ancestors. But God also built an altar and offered Jesus as the burnt offering. We must know the blessings, and we have to demand that the blessings be given to us. Let's begin from chapter 4 of the book of Genesis. I'm going to read 12, verse 3 and verse 4. Anybody? You must try and keep awake. You must try and read. You must try and know what we are saying tonight. Don't let this day be a wasted day in your life. It must be the major turning point of your life. Yes? No, if you are going to read, you must make sure your voice is loud. You're reading to the whole crowd. Can somebody give them a microphone? Please, we are in for a very serious business.
And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought an offering of the fruit of the ground to the Lord. Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat. And the Lord respected Abel and his offering.
You have done well, but you have to fill out the last letter in every name. Abel. Go on.
But he did not respect Cain and his offering. And Cain was very angry.
Any place you bring your offering to is an altar. We'll move on and I'll show you what's an offering, good offering. An offering is something valued, something of great value. You don't just bring anything you like. You bring something that you yourself value and something that God himself values. Something that will honor God. Something that will make God happy. Because that offering can determine your destiny. It can put color to your destiny. It can put beauty to your destiny. It can put distinction to your destiny. It can change your life. You don't just bring any... Whose offering did God reject? Anybody here? What? Say it well, let me hear. Who? Say it again. Now, the big lesson here is that God can reject your offering. Most people bring offerings, say that God will not even touch with a long pole. An offering must be something of great value, something precious, something very precious. Let's move on to chapter 8 and verse 20 of the book of Genesis. There are two things we're learning now. Number one is that any offering you bring to the altar must beautify your destiny and make your life easier and more pleasurable and more successful and more comfortable. If that offering will touch the heart of God. Not every offering can touch the heart of God. And as a child of God, you must aim at. You heard Zili say that when he began to work with us, he saw me give an offering and made up his mind never to give an offering less than 20,000 naira. He moved on to 50,000 and moved on to 60,000. The offering you bring to the altar determines the beauty of your destiny. Read on. Let's go to chapter 8 verse 20. Read this here.
Then Noah built an altar. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and took of every clean animal and of every clean bird, and offered burnt offerings on the altar.
And there are two words there, altar and offering. An altar is a place where what? Sacrifices are made. And when we speak of sacrifice, we speak of something precious to you, something valuable to you, something that hurts you when you give it. I am saying it to say that all through history, there have always been an altar. Some have an altar where they give sacrifices to demons. And I will soon show you that an altar brings the presence of the person you're worshiping. If you're giving the offering unto God, there will be a presence of God. If you're giving it to demons, there will be demons there to receive your offering. And therefore, when you are going to give your offering, you must aim at feeling and receiving the presence of God. Let His presence touch you. Let's move on to chapter 12, verse 7 of the book of Genesis. Anybody? Yes?
Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your descendants I will give this land." And there he built an altar to the Lord who had appeared to him.
Read it again.
Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your descendants I will give this land." And there he built an altar to the Lord.
And there
he built
an altar. Why did he build that altar? It was an altar of gratitude, to thank God for what God had done for him. There are things that God will do for you that will demand you express your gratitude with a sacrifice. I want you to hear me very well. Every grateful person shall be a great person. That's how life is made. Even in your own family, anyone who is always thankful to your parents shall be a preferred child. A preferred child. What hotels will call preferred customer. There's what you call preferred children and preferred customers. It's always somebody who is grateful. As a child of God, you must build into your habits gratitude. As a wife, you must learn how to be grateful. As a husband, you must learn how to be grateful. As a child, you must learn how to be grateful. As a worker, you must learn how to be grateful. And men who are grateful are always honored. And when you are grateful to God particularly and peculiarly, this awesome God will regard you as a preferred child of His.